Reformation, Adventist Reflections. Now, to discuss character building ideas, here is your host, Dr. Danzie.
Hi family, welcome back to another episode of this your podcast, the Adventist Reflections podcast. Today's lesson is titled Violating the Spirit of the Law. Let us think about the specific aspects related to speech. Before we go on to that, I would like to thank my dear wife for playing beautiful tunes in the background. And of course Lilliana, because she is here with us again today to reflect and embrace God's desire for us. Lilliana, welcome back. How you going?
Hi Dan, thank you. Good.
I would like to share with you, Lilliana, and with everybody who listens, this thought. It's found in the book Thoughts from the Mount of Blessing. And it's in page 68. And it says, deceptive compliments, evasions of truth, flattering phrases, exaggerations, misinterpretations in trade that are current in society and in the business world teach that no one who tries to appear what he is not, or whose words do not convey the real sentiment of his heart, can be called truthful. So today I'd like us to unpack one idea alone, the idea of having a sincere speech. So here's the question. At the practical level, have you ever been in a situation where you perceive that what is being said is not what is intended? Or perhaps in a situation where the message given is to please someone instead of speaking in the truth?
I would like to say that this topic is very complex and it's very, very powerful as well, because we know that words are very powerful. So we know that, they can bring life, but they can bring death as well.
For sure.
When I speak, I try to think what is that I want to achieve with what I'm going to say.
Sure.
It's always on encouraging or uplifting others. I don't like a speech that it can be truth, but you don't need to say it.
Okay.
So that's why it's a very complex topic, because you don't go to someone who is obese and big and you come to them and say, oh, look at you are obese, you are big. You don't do that, even though it might be truth, but you don't say it. So for whatever we say, we have to have reason for that.
Right.
And for me, personally, if I cannot say something positive to you,
okay,
or even if you say, let's say you shave your hair and instead saying, oh, it looks lovely, and I mean that.
Right.
But why, even if it doesn't look lovely, why I would say, oh, look at that. So it's, we have to be wise how to approach the speech. Like what happened to me just recently was, I had one person coming to me and the same person coming to me every time and telling me, others say you licked the finger. Others say, you went behind the counter with your gloves. Others say, so she came to me just recently and said, others say, and I just couldn't believe, what is that these people want to achieve? And I said, listen, I don't want to talk to you about that anymore, because if that other wants to have any comment, let that person come to me and talk to me, and I'm happy to address it. And it's not that I will not listen, it's just I don't like that people talk behind my back and telling some small things which can be worked. So we have to be really, really cautious what we say and how we say and when we say, because people, and I got hurt after all these, and these are just some of the examples,
Yeah.
like it is very hard for me to digest and to process all that stuff, because I see that as sort of like hypocrisy.
Sure.
And so it's saying something just for sake of saying it's not good enough, even though it might be the truth.
Sure. So sometimes we need to be wise.
Yes.
In the way we express our ideas and our desires and perhaps our own little preconceptions. Sometimes we want people to be like us. We have expectations.
Yeah.
And
it's never going to happen because we are not the same.
Right. That's the rich parts of being all created to God's image and yet different.
That's right. That's why we love each other and tolerate each other.
Right. So this is the situation, Lillian. I'm asking you about this because in the lesson, the author is talking about this idea of the spirit of the law. And before that, we also have this situation about Nehemiah. I would like to ask from you if you can share with us what was happening with Nehemiah at this point in time and how did he address it?
Yeah, he was very upset when he found out that people or wealthy people would borrow money to the people who don't have enough, poor people, and with the big interest. So the problem was, it's not borrowing money in itself. It was in these interests, because they're supposed to help each other. And but because they were putting high interest, people were getting poorer and poorer, and they had to mortgage their houses, mortgage their vineyards, mortgage their, and even giving their children in the slavery because they didn't have any other options.
Nothing to repay with.
That's right. And we know in that time that they had to pay taxes to the king.
Yeah.
So if they didn't have money, let's say it was famine and they didn't have any crops, they didn't have anything to sell, so they can pay. So they had to borrow money. So that was like you borrow on the top of each other, and the poor people are going just down and down, and the wealthy people gets more and more.
Yeah.
And Nehemiah put himself in the same bracket. He said it's not that he didn't lend the money, but he said, but this ushery, like putting interest on these loans, it's not allowed. So you are violating the law. That's what he was talking about when he was talking about violation of the law. So they thought, okay, I can help you, but let me get some benefit out of that I help you.
Right.
I can borrow you that money, but instead $100 that I borrowed you, you will pay me back $110 or $120.
Sure.
So
it is amazing. There's so many things to unpack in just this little story, and they relate to what we spoke about before in Sincere Speech. Nehemiah could have just chosen to talk about what other people talked about. People are saying you're borrowing money.
Yeah.
And you're giving interest, and people are saying that you have a full mouth about how there is less and less slaves to the kingdom, but now they're kind of like your slaves because they have to work for you and they're selling themselves to yourselves.
Yeah.
And Nehemiah didn't do that. He said, look guys, we are all doing that. Because when you think about who Nehemiah was, we already established that in the previous episode. He was working for the king.
Yeah.
He was in a good political position. He wasn't one of the poor people.
No, but knowing just that he would provide food for all the people who worked on the project. So it was big money. Every day I don't know, one ox and how many sheep and how many, some chooks for him or whatever. So it was big money. So, and he said he didn't take any of these from the king. Yeah. So he supplied by himself.
Yeah.
But how he finds the solution for the situation is he called assembly.
Right.
So he doesn't talk behind their back. This guy borrowed to this one and he shouldn't have done that. No, he calls all of them and tells them straight to their face and open their minds that what they are doing, it's wrong. Because I guess in that point of time, because everybody in the world or around them was giving or lending money for the interest, and they say that interest that other countries would apply was, let's say, 50% or more, while Jewish people would give them 12%.
Sure.
But what Nehemiah say,
they
thought they probably are doing a bit better.
With a better bank.
But it's still, Nehemiah said, no, let's change it. And he would accuse them of what they are doing. And what happened, they actually listened and understand, and they decided that they will fix the problem, give back the houses, or, repay back. I thought, wow, he must have very, very powerful speech.
He would have. And look, I can think that there will have been at least one person who wouldn't be happy. But if he stopped to think about that individual, he needed to be wise of how he delivered the message.
Yes.
But at the same time, he needed to be a straight shooter. He needed to actually say, this is how it is. No flattering, no appeasing your mind. This is the situation. And then the way he speaks in the passage, he's like, we messed up. We need to fix it.
That's right.
He's not saying, you. He's like, we're in this together, guys. We are the people of God. If we were to go back to Romans, the speech of Paul brings my mind to light as we're speaking about this. The idea that we are one body.
Yes.
Right? Like, let's not say, the hand is doing that, let's just chop it off. Like, we are all in this. I get affected, you get affected, the people who are poor get affected. We need to ensure that we revived the love of God amongst us.
And to feel like a family, because they were like one family.
And as they did that, as in his speech you mentioned, it was powerful. I can imagine that as he's reviving this idea of God's love amongst us, of God's love as a family, he called to a reformation.
Amen.
Right. And that reformation was, hey, Dan owes you like a lot of money and all that interest. What about if you wipe it off? I don't know, but the reformations never come easy. I mean, we're talking about money. A lot of people are sensitive about this idea of finances, but it might not be money. It might be something else. God calls us to reform in different ways. There's some of us who don't really care about that aspect of the interest financially, but we might care about something else. We all have our own little Achilles tendon that we don't desire to be touched. But Nehemiah is like, this is the situation of the church right now. We need to do something about it. What do you think about this idea of reformation and how hard it can be?
I think that reformation starts with me.
Okay.
So if I would like a world to be reformed or church to be reformed, I pray that Lord will show me what is that I have to reform, what is that I have to change. And that's how I believe the Reformation starts. Because we cannot expect anyone else. Same as Nehemiah did. He didn't expect others to change, and he continued with his the way he was doing that. So he was changing, I would say, the first.
Yeah, he started.
So that's right. So it's same with us. If we want to reform or do something, let's reform us. And above everything, pray to the Lord to reveal us what we need. Because often we are very subjective. We don't see things the way God sees. And we have to admit that to Him. And I honestly always come to say, Lord, please, I give you permission. Change whatever it's needed to be changed, because you can see my heart. I cannot see everything in the details, because He knows us better than we know ourselves. And He knows what has to be shaped, what has to be molded, and the way that He will reform us the best way possible.
As you're sharing that, and as we are landing this episode, it is evident, I think, that the message that Nehemiah was sharing, the revival that the people experienced from that powerful message that I believe was God's Spirit inspired, and the reformation they lived, all pointed back to God Himself, which really, as I reflect on this idea, it pointed back to the love of God.
Amen.
To love in the community of faith that they had there. And so I think about my little church, my Gideon church. I think about my church worldwide.
Yes.
I think about our Christian community. And I wonder, can we make a decision today? Don't wait. We don't have yesterday, and we really definitely don't have tomorrow. God gives it to us, but can we embrace what we have today and embrace that revival, that reformation, and bring the spirit of the law of God? The spirit of the law is the love of God.
Amen.
Right. Do you have any final remarks, Lilliana?
Yeah, maybe because we touched the topic of the speech, I would like to just bring to our attention to all of us, and that we should be very careful with our words, because they can have impact on others, to lift them up,
Yes.
or to put them down. So we have to learn to be careful
Yes.
in what we say, when and how.
Right, yeah. Absolutely, I agree. And allow the Spirit of God to guide us.
Yes.
Yeah,
Amen.
like you said, it's such a complex thing. I mean, we could talk about so many things.
Yes.
As you just mentioned, I'm thinking like, let's bring back the idea of motive. Perhaps we could make other episodes on that. But thank you so much, Lilliana. Thank you for sharing those ideas today. So I would like to also thank you all for listening from around the globe, for joining us weekly to unpack more character-building ideas that dissect God's character. We look forward to next week, when we will reflect on the practicalities of reading the Word. Until then, I am Dr. Danzie, and today I choose to love God, His justice and His mercy, and follow the spirit of the law. How about you? Remember to subscribe to this podcast, like it, share it, hashtag it, comment, and find us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, and Tumblr as Adventist Reflections. God bless you.